So let's say you want to extract a subject from the background. You want to remove the background. Well, if it's on a nice, clean, consistent, simple background like this, it's relatively easy. You just click the background with the magic wand tool or whatever it's called in your program, and you press delete. The problem with that is it always leaves a tiny ring of the original background. Now, there's no quick, easy way to totally resolve that problem, believe it or not. But there is a trick you can do. What you can do is select the background, and then however you do it in your program, I don't know, but in Photoshop, you do it like this. You click Select, Modify, and Expand. You can expand your selection. You want to do it as little as possible, so 1 pixel. And you see what we're doing here. Now we're going to clip a slight ring of the car. We're going to lose some information for sure, but it will look better than it did before. You see how there's no white ring around that? And the higher resolution photo you have, the better that effect will come out, because a pixel will be, less of the total image. And you can get away with that. Honestly, look, back here, I mean, it looks nearly perfect. It's not. We know it has removed data, okay? But it looks a lot better. But you can't always do that. For example, something like this. An image like this has a couple problems. Number one, the background is not totally solid. It has its own texture and variation. The second big problem is that the background color is very similar to the subject color. So there's not a lot of contrast there. So when you use the magic wand tool, you're going to run into trouble. See how it selects part of the subject? It is not going to work out. You can try different tolerances. The default tolerance in Photoshop and most programs is 32. And look what you end up with. It's not going to work. So I'm going to show you how to manually extract an object using the polygon selection tool. I don't know what it's called in every other program, but basically every image editing program has a polygon selection tool. The polygon selection tool works like this. You click, 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 and it adds to it. When you double click, it completes it. Now, I'm just going to do it very roughly just to show you how you can mess this up. If you are going around it and you're on a roll and you're doing well, and then you get too confident with your clicks and you double click, it can be very, very annoying. But the good news is there are options. Look, you can hold Shift to add to the selection, or hold Alt to subtract to the selection. Those keyboard shortcuts might not be the same in other programs, but a program that has a polygon selection tool is going to have a way to add and subtract from the selection. It can be very tedious, but it doesn't take as long as it feels like, especially with something like this. You got to just get started and don't quit, and you'll get it done. So I'm going to go through this whole thing in real time. This is not going to be an exciting video, but it's going to be a very real video. You might think zooming in as much as possible is what you need to do, but if you zoom in that much, you can kind of lose sight of where the edge is. I mean, sometimes it's actually very helpful, but other times, like right here, it can be confusing. You might not know. You might think, oh, this is part of the background, so you keep going this way. But then when you zoom out, you realize, that's part of the book. So here we go. I'm going to go around this, and I'm going to try to give some advice while I'm doing it. Before I really get started, I want to talk about the edge. So where do we select? I mean, do we select at the very, very outside, like this, to get every possible pixel? Or do we do something like this, where we go along the inside and ignore the outer ring? Well, sometimes there's no clean answer to that. But what I like to do is basically get it right in the middle of the outermost pixel. So like right here. And you have to just use your human brain to determine that. I would do something like that. Now look, this is so dark here, we don't really know what's going on. But we do have human brains. So we can kind of just do this and come up like that. See? But like I said, if you double click, you'll run into this problem. So, the next tip is straight lines. You want to avoid straight lines. If you're doing an extraction, it's going to be on something, it doesn't have straight lines. It looks straight, but they're never totally straight. Don't be lazy or impatient and do straight lines. Look, if you start here, you see, oh, this is fine. I can just do it like this, and then, okay, I see this, so I'll go up like that. Okay, and then it's straight again, so we can just do that. It's going to look like crap. You do not want to do that. So, it's almost like driving a car. When you want to go straight, you kind of rock the steering wheel back and forth. You let it do its thing. That's basically what we need to do. So, even if it is a straight path, just do it in small chunks. Even if you literally go totally straight, because it will prevent you from doing that thing where you flatten it out and it looks totally unrealistic. Okay, let's get started. You can pretty much start anywhere. Oh, and it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect in the first run, and I will show you that. You don't want to get complacent and double click too quickly. Now, once you move, up and over, then you can double click and it won't kill you. And I'll show you that after this. This is very tedious, as you can see. It is time consuming. It's what I call busy work, but it's not hard. You don't have to figure anything out or do anything that is actually difficult to do. It just sucks. It's just a lot of work. Music usually helps. I can't listen to music right now for obvious reasons. YouTube will copyright check me. So yes, this feels extremely slow, but ultimately it's just going to take a few minutes. If you don't care enough about what you're doing to do a good job, then maybe you shouldn't be doing it anyway. At that point, maybe you got to hire somebody. Okay, so we're approaching this part here. I'm just going to go down and then come up. You want to avoid, look, you see those sharp corners? If you end up in a situation where you're going to make a sharp corner, just don't. And like I said, you can make corrections after. There's no sense in screwing up and starting over. You don't have to do that. I mean, sometimes you do. It just depends on how you screw up. See how I almost made a sharp corner there? We want to avoid that. So I'm going to kind of go like this and then go like that. There we go. And pull out of that. And see how I almost made it flat? It's that it wouldn't look realistic. So we click there and there. See? See, if I go straight up, it'll be too pointy. So we're going to kind of do this and then that. And then that. See? And it helps to move it out of the way, so you can kind of get a better idea of what you're doing sometimes, especially if it's, something you're unfamiliar with. If it was something I'm very familiar with, like an apple or something like that, I could zoom in really, really close. You see how I'm doing short runs? so I avoid those straight lines. See, now we're in another situation where I can't really see it, and I kind of just have to make my own geometry. Again, we're avoiding the pointy things. We're gonna come up like this. There we go. See how I avoided all the sharp edges there. See how that was pretty much flat, but I still didn't just make a long line. I'm just doing, you know, what looks like about a centimeter at a time on my screen. This is where everyone's like fast forwarding. But don't do that, because there might be some really important advice between here and there. So I see that I kind of went too high, maybe. It's okay though. Like I said, we can work on it later. Remember, I showed you that you can add and remove from the selection. Also, you don't even have to do that. You can do other things. I'll show you that as well, by creating a mask layer. Not an official mask layer. I don't ever use those, but I mean like just a layer, a normal layer that you use as a selection mask. Personally, I just find that easier. But that's just a matter of preference. This does hurt. I mean, your hand will hurt. If your hand isn't hurting, you're not doing a good job. This is an AI generated image, so it's, you know, it's totally made up. So we see there's like, you know, there's little details and things. I probably could go down lower, and this is like some artifact of the fact that it's AI, but it's okay. Also, it's helpful to move your head. You know, monitors, LCD monitors are cool. Even if you've got like an IPS panel like this one and you have really good viewing angles, you can kind of get stuck in a certain position when you're doing this, and everything's kind of hard to see. And if you just move your head a little bit, you'll be like, oh wow, I can clearly see that now. See, I'm already almost completely done with the top side, and I already have some of that left side done. So that means I'm, you know, when I hit this corner, I'm over 25% complete. We are definitely going to make it. Don't know what's going on there. All right, this part is definitely round. You do not want to double click in a situation like this. I probably went back too far on that. It's okay. Okay, so we have one of these AI glitch type things. Personally, I feel like it should go down like this. It should not have that square. That is kind of strange. So I'm going to go ahead and make my own geometry. You see what I mean? Okay. We are on the right side. This clasp thing kind of goes like that. There we go. As you can see, your computer is totally locked up when you're doing this. You can't switch tabs or anything. I mean, you are committed to this. So if you're like in the middle of a conversation or something, you know, it's best to just tell them you gotta go. Like, you'll be back, you know, and mute your speakers. That's what I did. That way I'm not distracted. I don't feel pressured to get back to anything. You see how I keep moving out of the way because the icon is like in the way? Okay, this is one of those things where I'm going to move my head around because look, it's really mixed in with the background here. I cannot see for anything there, but I can see it more clearly down there. So I will just try to meet that up. There we go-ish. That's my other computer. So you can see this object is going off the edge. So we can just kind of do this. My elbow hurts. I'm going to go ahead and just skip that. I see this inner line here, so I'm just going to follow that geometry. Look at that, we are almost done with the right side, and we already have a little bit of the left side done. That means when I get to this corner, I'm over 50% complete. This goes out a little bit, like that. Now we're at a point where if we do accidentally double click, it's not the end of the world. It's just kind of annoying because of how it will, it'll still capture most of our work, if not all of it. Okay, so we've got some more like AI stuff there. I'm gonna just kind of follow this geometry. and then meet down here. I feel like we're making a quicker time. I think that top section was probably the hardest section. You know, some people like to do the hard stuff first. Some people like to do the easy stuff first. I just like to do it, just to get it done. I don't really care what order it happens in that regard. Okay, this like arches down. Not really happy with that part right there. Might need to go back and fix it. We are making progress. We are halfway through the bottom, just over halfway through the bottom. I don't know how long this has been. I don't have any kind of timer or anything telling me how long the recording is. You know, it feels like a long time when you're doing it, but I mean, ultimately, it has just been a few minutes. Maybe 10? I don't even know. What is time anyway? Just kidding, it's pretty obvious. Okay, so now we have like this square. You see this like rectangular mush of pixels? So let's just come out like this, try to rebuild it with our brain. My hand really hurts. But, you know, if you have a nicer mouse or a mouse pad, you know, normal stuff, you'll probably be better off than I am right now. Okay, we're on the last edge. And we know this edge is already partially done at the top. So we are on the home stretch, folks. Okay, let's take a look here. Okay, we'll go in like this. There we go. Up like that. I see this. I see this. I'm going to ignore that. And we'll arch in like that. This is spherical. See, it looks too blocky there. We want to fix that. I did not use enough segments. Ooh, and I kind of went a little too in there, but I think it'll be okay. We can fix it anyway. I keep saying that. I'll show you. Okay, this doesn't exactly look spherical, but we know this is, right? And it's supposed to be. So we can kind of just brain it. I don't like that, how that came out. The thing is, you might forget the parts that you didn't do that well, because there's probably several, but it's okay. You can extract it and then see where it sucks, and then go back and fix it. I will show you that. Okay, we are almost there. Okay. Whew. We got it. So you might be thinking, oh, by the way, when I unpause the video, sometimes I initiate this shortcut. Don't worry about that. So you might be thinking, Joe, I want to remove the background. You select the subject. What's up with that? Oh, didn't mean to hit the mic. Are you okay? Okay, it's okay. We can invert the selection. In Photoshop, that's Control-Shift-I. See? We can invert the selection. And we can just press delete. But we're not going to do that. Let's undo and undo again. Okay, what I like to do is just copy and paste. So I have copied and pasted that on top of itself. And then we can turn this layer off and we can just kind of look at it. Honestly, it looks good. It's not perfect, but it looks good. Now that it's like this, it's on its own layer, we have the selection. Because you can control-click. You know, it might be different in another program. I know I keep saying that, but every graphics design program has a way to select, create a selection map from a layer. And because I made a new layer with just this on it, when I do that selection map, I'll instantly get that back. So now I don't have to be careful. I can click off of it, and then if I want it back, I just control-click that. So I'm going to just hunt across the edge of it and kind of see if there's anything obvious that looks messed up. Okay, right here. You see how I'm not getting part of that clasp or buckle or whatever it is? There's a couple ways we can approach this. I can turn this tool back on and then, like I said, hold shift. And because we're adding to the selection, it doesn't matter what we do inside. See, look, I can add, it doesn't matter, right? So you can kind of just start anywhere and then go around like this. And then it doesn't matter. We're past the part that matters, and we can literally go anywhere. It doesn't matter. None of this matters. And we can just double click it. See? And now we're good to go. There's another way you can do it. I just did Control-Z to undo. You can just remove massive chunks. Really. Just totally remove the chunk and then redo that area. Again, it doesn't matter on the inside, so we can just start anywhere and then do this. There we go. And then, boom, like that. So we can inspect this a lot better if we put it in another image. So I'm going to copy it, make a new file that's bigger than that, just something bigger. Nice even number there. And paste it in. We can kind of just see how it looks. It looks rough on the bottom, but the board, or not the board, the book is rough on the bottom. But that looks kind of how you do in there. So let's go back here and let's look at that. Let's go back over here. See how it looks all kind of choppy? And sometimes you can't identify the problem. But we can just do this. We can just take that whole section out and redo it. And instead of getting all of that stuff, because we saw that it kind of looked choppy, we can just do it a little differently this time. And you might need to do certain sections 4 or 5 times before you're totally satisfied with it. There we go. That's probably better. You can copy that, go back over here, and paste it, and compare the two. This one looks better. See? And if you find another problem, like right here, I don't like how that looks. I don't like how that looks. So we can go back over here, and we can do the same thing. And there we have it. Let's copy this, go over here, and then the one on the bottom is the one we want to keep. So let's delete that top one, and then compare this. And that's how you do it. It's time consuming, it's tedious, but ultimately it doesn't take that long. And you know, you're probably not going to put it on a solid white background, right? So we can go to the background, Control U to bring up the brightness and contrast, or sorry, the hue and saturation. We can lower that, and then it looks better and better and better as you get it darker and darker, just because this is a dark kind of thing, you know. And we can even do a gradient, just to kind of see what we're working with, and move it at different places until we are totally satisfied with it. That's pretty much it. Now, the thing is, AI is amazing, right? So this is probably going to piss you off, but it does a pretty good job at this. I haven't done it with this particular one. Let's see. If you turn the contextual taskbar on and click Select Subject, let's see what the AI does. Well, shit. It's pretty damn good, isn't it? So let's copy that. Let's remove this. Move this one up here. Look at that. Honestly, it's better. The AI is better. It did it in a much more simple way. But, I don't know. It just depends on your definition of better. Oops. Yeah, so if you've got Photoshop, you know, you might want to just use that tool. Thanks for watching.